There is a synthetic chemical sitting in your pantry right now. It is in a can you probably bought because the label said wholesome, simple, or farm fresh. It is called Disodium EDTA, and it is a chelating agent, meaning it binds to metal ions. It was originally developed for industrial applications, and the FDA permits it in your canned beans at up to 165 parts per million. Americans spend over $3 billion every year on canned beans. We buy them because they are supposed to be one of the simplest, most nutritious food on the planet. Beans, water, salt. 3 ingredients. That is all it should take. But somewhere between the farm and your pantry, corporations found ways to engineer that simplicity out and charge you the same price for a product held together by chemistry, not quality. Today, we are going inside the canned beans industry. We are going to identify 5 brands that are using shortcuts you deserve to know about, and 5 brands that still respect the 3 ingredient standard. I spent weeks flipping cans, reading ingredient panels, and cross-referencing FDA filings to find the truth. And the results were not what I expected. Stay with me because by the end of this video, you will never look at a can of beans the same way again. Here's how the math works. To pack a generally clean can of beans, you need 3 things: high quality legumes, clean water, and salt. The beans needs to be sorted, soaked, cooked properly, and sealed in a can that does not leach synthetic compound into the food. That process costs more. It requires better raw material sourcing and more careful manufacturing. So corporations found 3 shortcuts, and they have been hiding them in plain sight on the ingredient panel for decades. Shortcut number 1, Disodium EDTA. The FDA allows up to 165 parts per million of this compound in canned legumes under regulation, 21 CFR 172.135. It prevents oxidative discoloration. In other words, it keeps the beans from turning gray or brown in the can. Real, high-quality beans packed correctly do not need a color stabilizer. Disodium EDTA is the patch on a quality problem the brand chose not to fix. Shortcut number 2, calcium chloride. This is a firming agent. When beans are cooked too fast, packed too rough, or sourced from lower grade harvests, they turn mushy. Calcium chloride firms them back up artificially. It is a structural disguise. The bean feels like a quality bean. It is not. You are paying for the illusion of texture, not the substance behind it. Shortcut number 3, BPA-lined cans. Bisphenol A is still used in the interior lining of millions of cans sold in American supermarkets. It stabilizes the lining, extends shelf life, and costs less than BPA-free alternatives. The FDA has reviewed BPA multiple times and continues to permit it for food contact use, meaning brands are not required to disclose it on the label. You are consuming it without a warning, and that is entirely legal. This is not an accident. This is cost engineering disguised as food manufacturing. And the brands doing it are some of the most recognizable names on the shelf. The skip list: brand 1, Bush's Best. The marketing is warm, a golden retriever. A family recipe, a grandfather's secret. Flip the can. Bush's Best original canned beans list calcium chloride and disodium EDTA directly on the ingredient panel. Sodium content in their baked bean varieties runs as high as 550 milligrams per half-cup serving. That is nearly a quarter of your entire daily sodium limit in a portion the size of your fist. The secret family recipe involves a synthetic chelating agent and a chemical firming salt. That is the ingredient list telling a very different story from the one on the front of the label. Brand 2, Goya. Goya is the dominant brand in Latin American grocery aisles across the country, and their marketing leans hard on words like authentic and traditional. Flip the can on their standard black bean line. You will find Disodium EDTA. Flip the can on several of their seasoned varieties. You will find natural flavors, an FDA-sanctioned umbrella term that can legally cover hundreds of undisclosed flavoring compounds. Authentic and traditional do not require synthetic chelators or mystery flavor compounds. Goya's ingredient list is a quiet but direct contradiction of everything their branding promises. Brand 3, Del Monte. Del Monte has been canning food since 1886. That history is a core part of their brand identity. But in 2019, Del Monte faced consumer pressure over products marketed with no preservatives language that still contained Disodium EDTA. The brand's legal defense was that EDTA functions as a flavor protector, not a preservative, a distinction that exists in corporate legal filings but nowhere in the average consumer's understanding of what they are buying. The fine print is doing a lot of heavy lifting here. Their standard canned bean lines continue to list both calcium chloride and disodium EDTA to this day. Over 100 years of history, and the recipe still calls for industrial chelators. Brand 4, Allen's. Allen's is a regional staple with national supermarket reach, and it is one of the more quietly egregious entries on this list. Standard bean varieties list calcium chloride. Flavored and seasoned varieties in their lineup introduce added sugar, corn syrup solids, and sodium levels in some products that exceed 500 milligrams per half cup. 500 milligrams. In a product sold as a healthy pantry staple. The packaging uses simple, approachable design language that signals home-style cooking. The ingredient list is anything but home-style. Corn syrup solids in a can of beans is not a recipe. It is a cost decision. Brand 5, Hanover Foods. Hanover leans into farmhouse aesthetic. The packaging is deliberately pastoral. Farm fresh language appears prominently. But Hanover's standard canned bean lines list Disodium EDTA and calcium chloride, carry no BPA-free certification, and include no organic sourcing disclosure anywhere on the label. This is a logistical magic trick. The visual identity of a small batch farm operation, backed by the same industrial manufacturing standards as every other brand on this list. The label says countryside. The ingredient list says chemistry lab. Do not let the barn imagery on the packaging make the decision for you. You do not need a laboratory to audit your pantry. You need 30 seconds and 2 tests. Test number 1, the 3 ingredient rule. Pick up every can of beans in your kitchen right now. Flip it over. Read the ingredient list. A real can of beans should contain 3 items. Beans, ideally organic, water, and salt. If you see a 4th ingredient, ask yourself one question. Why is it there? Disodium EDTA is there because the beans needed a chemical to look appealing. Calcium chloride is there because the beans needed a chemical to feel firm. Neither of those ingredients is food. They are corrections for a quality problem the brand chose not to solve at the source. If you cannot justify why that 4th ingredient exists, your answer is already there. Test number 2, the rinse and taste test. Drain your can, rinse the beans thoroughly under cold water for a full 30 seconds, then eat 1 bean plain. No seasoning, no oil. A genuinely clean bean tastes earthy, slightly nutty, and neutral. If you detect a faint metallic edge or a chemical aftertaste, even after a thorough rinse, that is a red flag. Disodium EDTA leaves a chemical signature that rinsing does not fully remove. Your palate is more accurate than most people give it credit for when it comes to detecting it. 2 tests, 30 seconds, that is your quality audit. Keep these in your back pocket every time you are standing in that grocery aisle. The real list. Now for the consumer win. These 5 brands prove that clean canning is not a lost art. It is simply a choice that most corporations have decided not to make. Brand 1, Eden Foods. Eden Foods was founded in Ann Arbor, Michigan in 1968. In 1999, over 2 decades before BPA became a mainstream consumer concern, Eden became the first commercial brand in North America to switch to BPA-free can linings across their entire bean lineup. Their ingredient list reads organic beans, water, 2 ingredients, not 3, 2, no salt added, no preservatives, no firming agents of any kind. Eden sources certified organic legumes and has maintained that standard for over 50 years without compromise. A can retails for approximately $2.49 to $3. For a BPA-free, 0 additive, 50-year heritage product, that is not a premium price, that is a deal. Brand 2, Westbury Natural. Westbury Natural is California-based and one of the best value plays in the clean beans category. 3 ingredients, organic beans, water, sea salt. No EDTA, no calcium chloride, no BPA lining additives. Retail price sits around $2.29 per can, frequently cheaper than the conventional brands on the skip list. This is the brand that dismantles the myth that eating clean costs more. You can buy a better product with a shorter ingredient list for less money than the brands using industrial shortcuts. Westbury Natural is the value play, full stop. Brand 3, Thrive Market Organic. Thrive Market's private label organic line is the strongest value argument in this entire category. BPA-free cans, USDA certified organic, 3 ingredient maximum. At Thrive membership pricing, their canned beans consistently land under $2 per can. That is a clean, certified, responsibly packaged product at a price point that undercuts most of the chemical-laden brands on the skip list. The financial stake flips entirely here. You can eat better, spend less, and never see Disodium EDTA on an ingredient panel again. Brand 4, Amy's Organic. Amy's has spent decades building a reputation for transparent, organic, prepared food, and their canned bean line lives up to that standard completely. BPA-free cans, USDA organic certification, no synthetic preservatives, no firming agents, no natural flavors catch-all. Retail sits between $3 and $3.50, making Amy's the premium tier option on this list. But every cent is accounted for in actual quality, not marketing spend. When a brand charges more and delivers more, that is a fair transaction. Amy's earns it. Brand 5, 365 by Whole Foods Market. Whole Foods' own label is the most accessible, clean option for shoppers near a Whole Foods location, and it deserves more recognition than it gets. BPA-free cans. Certified organic. Ingredient lists that cap at 3 items across their entire bean lineup. Priced between $2 and $2.79, the 365 line proves that clean canning at a fair price is not some niche specialty product reserved for devoted health enthusiasts. It is a mainstream choice that the largest natural grocery chain in America has made standard. If this is within reach of you geographically, there is no reason to be buying from the skip list. Here is what the canned beans industry does not want you to think about. Beans are one of the oldest, simplest human foods on the planet. They have been farmed, cooked, and eaten for over 10,000 years with nothing but heat and water. The fact that it now takes a chelating agent, a firming salt, and a petrochemical-derived lining to sell you beans in 2026 is not a food innovation story. It is a cost optimization story, and you are the variable being optimized against. Every brand on the real list charges a comparable or lower price than the brands cutting corners. That single fact destroys the industry's only remaining argument. Clean canning is not expensive. It is a choice. And most corporations have simply chosen otherwise. Your health is not a commodity for these corporations to manage. The 5 clean brands on this list prove that doing it right is still possible, still affordable, and still a decision you can make every single week at the grocery store. The next time you're in that aisle, flip the can, read the fine print, count the ingredients. 3 is the number you're looking for. The food tell, because you have the right to know the truth. Subscribe for more.